So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
It is the first time that I feel that I need to stand up and do something really and become really engaged in the electoral process in this country.
This is peak hypocrisy. And what I mean by they is the deep state operators. They are exposing themselves as the money laundering criminals they are. They are in full panic. They can be outraged for being exposed as the criminals they are, but it's okay for George Soros to come into our country and bribe all of these criminals into corrupting our entire country. Guess who invited Soros into our country? Clinton. Hillary Clinton. So we should be really outraged at her for inviting this evil to destroy us.
We have been given an extraordinary blessing, and at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
Oh, and look at her giving Soros such a loving hug. Isn't that sweet? Soros said back then he felt the need to stand up and do something, to become really engaged in the electoral process in our country, with the plans to destroy us from within. That's what helped push us to become what we are today.
It is the first time that I feel that I need to stand up and do something really and become really engaged in the electoral process in this country.
Oh gee, what do we have here? George Soros' son, Alex, who took over Daddy's foundation, and he's pictured with a bunch of these corrupt politicians. That tells you everything you need to know. Elon Musk is our George Soros of the right, but the difference is Elon is guided by God to expose this evil.
Where is the George Soros of the right? Where do we find the billionaire who will never give up on the great promise of America? And in walks Elon Musk. So God bless you, Elon, and we're so grateful.
And this is while Elon Musk is saving us, as of the making of this video, $60 billion through Doge so far, through the Department of Government Efficiency. And here's Elon on the campaign trail with Trump, talking about how Doge is going to help rid the deep state.
So if you do choose to be the head of the Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah, Doge.
Yep. What do you think about we stop giving money to other countries such as Israel, Ukraine, and we stop funding forever wars that most likely is going to the deep state anyway?
Yeah. Well, I think in general the amount of waste that happens with the federal government is really staggering. It's a staggering amount of waste of taxpayer money. And if we're, for any given expenditure, we have to say, well, what does this do for the citizens of America? Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money. Like, for some weird reason, a lot of people in the sort of, state or whatever, the politicians, they seem to forget that the money being spent is your money. And if it's not being spent in a way that is beneficial to the American people, it's a misuse of the funds.
Now, why have they gone mad over this exposure? Well, if you haven't heard by now, it's because of the USAID exposure. The reason the Democrats are melting down right now. Here's the actual article from Trump's White House exposing this USAID money and where it went to, titled at USAID Waste and Abuse Run Deep. It states, for decades, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has been unaccountable to taxpayers as it funnels massive sums of money to the ridiculous and, in many cases, malicious pet projects of entrenched bureaucrats with next to no oversight. Here are just a few examples of the waste and abuse. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. $70,000 for production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $2.5 million for electric vehicles for Vietnam, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, hundreds and thousands of dollars for a nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after an inspector general launched an investigation, millions into EcoHealth Alliance, which was involved in research at the Wuhan lab, hundreds of thousands of meals that went to an Al-Qaeda affiliated fighters in Syria, funding to print personalized contraceptives, birth control devices in developing countries, hundreds of millions of dollars to fund irrigation canals, farming equipment, and even fertilizer used to support the unprecedented poppy cultivation and heroin production in Afghanistan, benefiting the Taliban. The list literally goes on, and it has all been happening for decades. Under President Trump, the waste, fraud, and abuse ends now. And here's the White House press secretary, who also explains this.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
So as you can see, this is the BS the criminals are supporting and gaslighting the American people into thinking the money actually goes to good causes, which now we can see it doesn't. Just like the trans agenda, the abortion agenda, everything they stand for is pure evil, period, and must be eradicated from not only our country, but our whole planet. Because as we can see, they are trying to spread this evil to every country on earth. And God will not stand for it. Trump is God's vessel. He is the appointed one, and he will fix and save us, just like he promised he would. God bless Trump, and God bless America.
Can't help it, that's okay.